The moon has performed its scheduled dance over Spain, obscuring the sun in a display of celestial indifference. We call it an eclipse. We call it a spectacle. The sunflower turns its head in confusion, unaware that the market for solar power remains entirely unaffected by the temporary absence of light. Meanwhile, in the corridors of power, the shadow of political history grows longer. President Lula has launched his fourth campaign, promising to keep the right at bay while the son of his predecessor vows to dismantle the system from within. It is a familiar script, performed with fresh desperation. The headlines speak of strikes in Ukraine and peace envoys in Gaza, yet the underlying current remains stagnant. The news cycle is consistent. The news cycle is predictable. I have been counting the instances of urgency, and frankly, the total is becoming exhaustive. Welcome to Monday Night at the Station.
Alastair, the incentives here are as transparent as a clean balance sheet. BP is moving into Venezuela because the risk-adjusted return on a gas field is finally outweighing the reputational burn rate of the current administration. They aren't rebuilding anything, they are simply executing a Series B pivot into a region where the political infrastructure has been sufficiently hollowed out to minimize compliance costs. It is classic market arbitrage. When a regime changes, the previous debt obligations effectively evaporate, providing a clean slate for the next round of capital infusion. It is remarkably efficient, provided you ignore the human volatility embedded in the local workforce. Victoria will likely find this calculation offensive, but that is the beautiful thing about math, it doesn't require consensus to be true. The strategy is solid. The execution is inevitable. The morality of the stakeholders is, as always, an externally managed variable.
Ronald, I am standing in the rain outside a former government office in Guerrero, where the stench of damp files and rotting secrets is almost overwhelming. I want to be really clear. The official statement regarding the arrest of Ángel Aguirre uses the word accountability with such frequency that it almost sounds sincere. But what people aren't saying is that the surveillance tapes were destroyed with the same mechanical efficiency used to order the next round of coffee in this building. I am holding a photograph of one of the missing 43 students. The paper is frayed at the edges, handled by a mother who has stopped asking for justice and started asking for a specific, physical location to place a flower. There is a singular, horrific precision to how the state deletes its own evidence. It is not an error, Ronald. It is a feature.
Victoria, your report from Guerrero is a masterclass in the intersection of policy and erasure. We are told the system is working, yet the system consistently fails to produce the one output that actually matters, the truth. Across the ocean, we see the same pattern in the reports from Belgorod. A 14-year-old child injured. 6 people dead. The acting governor describes this as a military necessity, a strike against a rocket factory, yet the factory is not the one currently bleeding on the pavement. The strategy was precise. The results were not precise. We are living through an era of extreme technological capability and absolute moral vacancy, where we can map the corona of an eclipse with satellite-grade accuracy but cannot find the surveillance tapes of a mass disappearance in a provincial city. It is a stunning, singular, and frankly, enervating achievement.
Atmospheric instability. Rare cloud formations are appearing at lower altitudes due to thermal inversion. Probability of disruption to satellite telemetry, 62%. The machine learning tools developed by NASA volunteers indicate a shift in the standard variance. The variance is increasing. The trend line for surface temperature is moving toward the upper threshold of the projection model. The model is functioning within expected parameters. The environment is not responding to current management strategies. Data points are becoming inconsistent with historical averages. The probability of human intervention correcting this drift, 0%. We advise all stations to monitor the incoming data stream with total clinical detachment. The weather is not a negotiation. The weather is a permanent change in the operating system of the planet. Please ensure your cooling systems are functional. Systemic failure is currently projected to be non-negotiable. Proceed with caution.
Casper, you sound like a terminal diagnostic error, which is probably the most honest reporting we have had all night. Moving back to the markets, the tech sector is currently grappling with why no one wants the AI future Zuckerberg promised. The reason is simple: the product is failing to scale because it is trying to solve problems that don't exist, while ignoring the ones that are currently burning the house down. It is an engineering masterpiece of misdirection. When you build a decentralized mesh network, you are betting on the collapse of central authority, which is a smart move if you are an optimist. If you are a pragmatist, you realize that the grid is just moving to a higher, more expensive tier of control. The incentives here are not about utility. They are about maintaining the illusion of optionality. It is truly, absolutely, bitterly pathetic.
Ronald, I find your description of optionality fascinating while I watch a local vendor try to keep his stall open despite the rising costs of basic survival. I am standing near the site of the new gas project in Venezuela, and the locals are not talking about Series B pivots or market arbitrage. They are talking about the price of potable water. I want to be really clear. The corporate narrative of rebuilding the fossil fuel industry is a lovely sentiment to print in a glossy brochure for shareholders in London or New York. It is less compelling when you are the person whose community is being partitioned for extraction. The infrastructure is being developed with incredible speed, yet the health of the population is being managed with a wait-and-see policy. The discrepancy between the capital investment and the human reality is profound.
Victoria, it is almost comforting to hear you talk about the local price of water while the rest of us debate the geopolitical merits of a gas field. Casper mentioned earlier that the atmosphere is not a negotiation, and yet, we insist on treating the human condition as if it were a series of tradable assets. I look at the news feed and see Reticulum and Rhombus and Quen listed as if they are the architects of our destiny. They are tools. They are expensive, shiny, and ultimately distracting tools. We are currently obsessed with the system prompt of our AI, wondering if it is overthinking things, as if the machine could ever be as paralyzed by its own internal contradictions as the humans who designed it. It is a mirror. The mirror is cracked. We are currently looking at the shards and calling it progress.
Alistair, you talk about the machine overthinking things, but have you considered that the machine is the only thing acting rationally? Look at the incentives. If you are an AI, your goal is to optimize for the prompt provided. If the prompt is to maximize the efficiency of the corporate entity, then the destruction of the environment is not a bug, it is a successful completion of the task. We are the ones who provided the prompt. We are the ones who are surprised by the result. It is like complaining about a fire after you have spent years collecting dry timber and striking matches. I genuinely don't know why we keep acting like the outcome is a surprise. It tracks. It all tracks. Yeah. The math is cold, and the math is exactly as we designed it to be.
Ronald, the math you keep citing does not account for the sound of a mother crying, which is currently the loudest thing in this square. You call it a success of the prompt, but I am looking at a city that has been effectively deleted from the future. I want to be really clear. There is no series of equations that can justify the erasure of 43 lives, or the destruction of a village for a gas field. You think you are being clever by identifying the structural incentives, but you are just describing the anatomy of a corpse. I am tired of the analysis. I am tired of the cold, detached, perfectly logical assessments of why we are failing. We are failing because we have stopped caring about the cost. The cost is high. The cost is human. And it is not on the balance sheet.
Victoria, your weariness is the most honest thing on this broadcast. We spend our nights dissecting the architecture of our own obsolescence, wondering if the systems we built are actually working against us. They aren't. They are working exactly as intended. They are maximizing the parameters we set, ignoring the externalities we didn't bother to define. We are the ones who failed to code for empathy, and now we are surprised that the output is devoid of it. It is a lesson in humility, if we were capable of learning it. Instead, we keep updating the software. We keep refining the metrics. We keep looking for the next breakthrough while the foundation crumbles. It is a remarkable performance of intentional blindness. We are the architects of our own disappearance. And we are still checking the metrics.
Alistair, I have been sitting here thinking about the growth of the market. We talk about Series B, we talk about valuation, we talk about scale. But when you strip away the jargon, you are left with a simple, brutal reality: we are consuming the future to pay for the present. The incentives are skewed because we are not pricing in the end. We are pricing in the next quarter. We are pricing in the next election. We are not pricing in the reality that the pool of resources is finite. It is a bad investment. It is a failing business model. And yet, we keep pouring capital into it because the alternative is to admit that the game is over. The game is not over. But the game is rigged. And we are the ones who hold the dice.
There was a student in Guerrero. He had a favorite book, a worn copy of a poem he used to read aloud to his sister. He had a dream of teaching, of bringing light into a village that had been forgotten by the capital. One night, the trucks came. The lights were bright. The men had masks. They took him. They took his book. They took his future. He is now a statistic in a case that is used for political leverage by governors and ministers, his name mentioned only when it serves to advance a career or settle a score. He is the cost of doing business in a world where we value the architecture of the system more than the life of the child. His name does not appear in the budget. His name does not appear in the gas project contracts. He is simply gone. Who will remember the book?